Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Barnabas Health, NJM, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, New Jersey's Credit Unions, PSC&G, TD Bank, Community Education Centers, the New Jersey Hospital Association, and by these public-spirited organizations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the issues that matter.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We're coming to you from the State House, more specifically the Senate Chamber. This is a series of in-depth one-on-one interviews with those who lead the individual bodies of the state legislature. We're here with Jon Bramnick.
Good to be with you.
Who is the Assembly Republican leader.
That's correct.
You like that title, or would you like a different title?
I like leaders. I tell you, I was in the State House once. My wife came down one time, and people were calling me leader. And I get home, and she goes like this, "Hey, leader." I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Leader forgot to take the recycling out." So, yeah, it's cool until, you know, the truth comes out. I'm not the leader.
Tell folks about your family.
Grew up in Plainfield. My dad had a store, a mom and pop store called Lazar's. It was there for 60 years. And a stationery store. Mom worked in the back. My dad worked up front. I have a wife and married to Patricia Brentano, who's an environmental artist. Brentano.
Okay.
She's an environmental artist, and she taught at the college level painting and drawing. And we've been married 33 years. And my son's a 31-year-old lawyer, was a prosecutor for 5 years, and now he's with my law firm. And my daughter is an art therapist with a master's at NYU in art therapy. And can I give you one story about art therapy?
Sure.
Okay. In graduate school, she had to draw a picture of her family. And the family was a tree, which was my wife, a snake around the tree, which is my daughter, my son was a turtle, and coming out of the tree is a blackberry.
Get out of here.
So I go like this, uh-oh, because every time we had dinner, my wife would be talking to Patricia, my wife would be talking to Abby, that's my daughter, and I was on the blackberry, so I stopped looking at the blackberry. That's why art therapy is so good.
That did it for you.
That was it.
By the way, the Assemblyman and I did not coordinate purple ties. I just want to clarify that. The other thing I know that's different between us is that you're very funny. I know this because you have a title. The Assemblyman is the only member of the 120 members of the legislature, 40 in the Senate, 80 in the Assembly. He's the only member to be selected, chosen as the funniest lawyer in the state of New Jersey. First of all, how the heck did you win this title, and how important is it to you?
Very important. And I'm like the Muhammad Ali. John? I'm like the Muhammad Ali of comedy at the bar. Well, when I was for my 38th
comedy at the bar.
Well, bar association.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Also at the bar.
Okay.
My 38th birthday, my wife had read an article in the New Yorker about a competition for the funniest lawyer in New York. So she entered me. I came in second. And then the New Jersey State Bar Association had a contest, which was the funniest lawyer in New Jersey, which I won 3 years in a row, and then they stopped the contest. And so now, if you want to compete, you got to come up through the ranks. I'm not going to just go against anybody. So I won it 3 years in a row at Rascals Comedy Club.
Right.
And then from there, I actually do auctions for charities, and I've done that for 25 years using comedy. And I was at the Borgata a couple weeks ago, and I loved it.
Well, John, I have to ask you this. Is the place for comedy down here?
You got it. Is it the place?
Is it funny down here? It seems serious, it seems intense, and it seems sometimes very personal and acrimonious. Am I missing something? I served here in the mid-'80s. It wasn't as intense.
Well, it's more intense, but comedy helps here. I think you have to be very careful not to take yourself seriously. The issues are serious. But when you take yourself too seriously, I think it interferes with the issues. because it's not about me. I'm a representative of the people. The issue is not about Jon Bramnick. It's about whatever the policy is. That's why I don't like when these things become personal. If I disagree with a Democrat, why can't I respect the Democrat? And the other thing that bothers me, when MSNBC and Fox fight each other, they never, ever say the other side had one good idea. That, to me, tells me that's not journalism.
Let me ask you, because we're doing this, having these conversations with the legislative leadership, actually on the day of the inaugural celebration that's taking place the 21st of January. These interviews will air afterwards. It's a pretty intense time down here in both houses, just in the State House. What does a situation like this, Assemblyman, do, a time like this, do to relationships between the members?
The relationships between the members are generally pretty good. The concern now in politics is if anybody or anyone on their staff makes a mistake, people take full advantage of that. They don't.
What does that mean, take advantage?
Well, for example, everything in campaigning is negative. You can't do positive campaigning because, as every expert will tell you, doesn't work.
Doesn't work, meaning what?
It doesn't change the poll. No, it doesn't change the polls. If I'm running against you and you put out material to say you're great, and I put material out to say I'm great, nothing changes in the polls. You get whatever you started with, you stay at that number, and I stay at that number. So if you're 10 points ahead of me, the experts will tell you the only way I can bring you down is to say negative stuff about you.
So you try to destroy my reputation? Try to say something about my business activities or that I'm unethical?
Well, hopefully you talk about the policy itself and how we disagree.
Yeah, but you know where it goes, Jon.
Well, I don't like it. I don't like it. I never liked it. The first thing I did in the legislature was try to pass a resolution that people should be more civil to each other, and got laughed out of the State House. Thank you.
I'm sorry for laughing.
There was an article somewhere in Europe that said, some comedian, some legislator wants people to be nice, want to legislate people to be nicer to each other. There should be more civility in society, and the negative campaigning stinks. I hate it.
It's interesting because you are a good lawyer, you're very funny, and you have good relationships. And you talk to folks on both sides of the aisle, they'll say that about you. But you have strongly held beliefs. And you also have had a background teaching. Talk about your teaching background, because it also has shaped your views on education policy.
Yeah, well, when I sat in law school and I sat in college, I have to admit, most of the time I was bored.
You're bored?
I was bored. Because I never thought that what the professors did when they lectured was successful or worked. So when I taught for 4 years full-time at Rider, I would get in your face and say, why do you think this should happen? Tell me what is important to you? To get your brain to work, I think I have to move your brain cells around. I don't have to move my brain cells around. And education to me is bringing out from a student his intensity, her thought process, and make them. There was a professor at Syracuse once told me, he says, you can look up a fact, but you can't learn how to think analytically. So I want people to learn how to think analytically.
Did you love teaching?
Loved it, but it was too hard.
What do you mean it's too hard?
It was exhausting. If you want to keep students totally involved, and I taught 4 courses at Rider.
That's a full load.
It was exhausting. So I went back to litigation practice, which was easier, and I made more money. It was exhausting.
By the way, tell folks, it's interesting you're talking about this. Legislators, the vast majority of legislators are not, quote unquote, full-time legislators. Legislators make how much money?
$49,000.
Okay.
And that hasn't changed since 2001, just so you know.
So the vast majority of legislators do other things to feed their families and, obviously. A lot of folks don't understand that. They'll say, oh, politicians make money hand over fist. Most people in the state legislature are doing other things. How hard is it? Now, I realize now I didn't ask any of the other members who I spoke to, the other legislative leaders, this question. How hard is it, Assemblyman, to be a legislator and also be the leader of your party, the Republican Party in the state assembly, and be involved and run your law practice?
Well, I'm going to break that question down. Before I was a leader, it was a lot easier. The leader has a lot more responsibilities. I'm a trial lawyer, and I'm proud to be a trial lawyer. I know they talk badly about trial lawyers, but in order to be a trial lawyer, you need a lot of time and a lot of energy. Fortunately, what I've done over the years as I got more involved in legislative legislative process, I have more lawyers, including my son. So now I have 13 lawyers. So I'm able to do what my passion is and deal with larger issues. When you're a trial lawyer, I deal with one small issue at a time. When you start to deal with major issues that affect everybody, it's hard to go back to one little teeny issue.
Let's talk specific legislative issues down here. Pension reform. I've asked all your colleagues this. In the governor's state of the state, he said, look, we have some choices to make. And the more we spend, the more dollars we allocate on paying the state's contribution to the pension commitment that we made, and everyone acknowledges that was made, the less money we will have for education, for roads, for bridges, et cetera, or other things we want to do for mental health. And Steve Sweeney, who just sat in this chair a little while ago, I talked to him, the president of the Senate, he said, no, we made a deal. You don't go back on the deal.
This is a question of math. Things change all the time with respect to whether we have enough funds in the pension system. But here's the bottom line. You're going to have to make a choice. If we're going to put $2.4 billion in the pension system this year.
Clarify that. Of the state budget is
$33 billion.
$33 billion.
If you're going to put close to 10% now of your money into pension, in pension funds, and
excuse me, which is legally required
it's
based on the
legislation. 2/7 or 3/7 of a certain number.
Assemblyman, that was agreed to based on the legislation, historic legislation that the governor, together with both houses,
absolutely,
bipartisanship, that happened, right?
Right.
So go ahead.
Right. So this year, $2.4 billion on the $33 billion budget. That means that you have to make decisions. That's all the governor said. You have to make choices between A, B, C, D, and E. There's only a certain amount of money, but more importantly, in a few years now, we have to put over $5 billion in. That's more than 20 or close to 20% of your state budget. So all the governor did was recognize reality. And there's one other issue. My recollection, I could be wrong, when the Democrats were in control, there was a study done by actuaries, and they were always concerned about whether this pension system could survive. We made some historic changes. If the funds themselves continue to grow, I guess we won't have any choices to make. But I think we're $40 billion underfunded in pension funds. So there may be some questions. All he's saying is we got to discuss this.
But before we go to this break, Assemblyman, what do you say to the President of the Senate and others, Democrats disproportionately, who say, look, even if you think it's a bad deal, we made the deal, you keep your commitments.
And we are committed contractually to pay pensions of people who are already in the system at a certain point in the system. But is it wrong to discuss the future of the pension system if it looks like it will be continued to be underfunded? Was there a guarantee that these funds or this would fix the problem? I think that was the belief by all the members in this House and in the Senate. The question is, we won't know until we see the math.
And finally, even though public employee workers did their part and they are paying more, that doesn't change your thinking?
No, I'm sympathetic to everyone in the system. All I'm saying is we have to make choices. Are we going to cut education to make sure we make that, make that payment? We just have to make a choice.
We come back after this, talk education, talk higher education as well, and a whole range of other issues.
Great.
You love your job, huh?
Loved it every single day.
But if you could be a full-time comedian and get paid, we'll come back and answer that right after this from the State House. Jon Bramnick, the funniest lawyer, and I bet he's also the funniest legislator. It wouldn't take much in New Jersey.
Competition is light.
We'll be right back after this. Competition is light.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Hi, Steve Adubato coming to you from the Senate chamber. We may be in the upper house, but we're here with one of the highest ranking members of the State Assembly, Republican Minority Leader, Jon Bramnick. You were just doing a little bit of your stand-up.
I was talking about some of my material, yes.
Would you mind sharing it?
Well, I was saying when I go to buy a new
The funniest
suit,
lawyer in New Jersey.
well,
Go
when
ahead.
I buy a new suit at Brooks Brothers,
Yeah.
it looks like Brooks Brothers. The minute I get home, it looks like me. Your suits always look perfect, like, you know, they look like they're still in the store. So,
What are you taking a shot at me?
that's actually a compliment, because that's what I want. I want the things I buy in the store to look like they're still in the store.
I thought you were saying I was like a mannequin. Okay, we'll go back on the issues. You ready? Let's talk higher education.
Yeah.
What do you say to those who say, you know what? We are not simply putting enough into higher education, and we're going to pay the price. We are paying the price for losing the best and the brightest in the state, and the fact that we can't compete nationally and internationally.
Well, I was part
And you know
of,
higher ed.
I was part of the bipartisan bond issue, where we have now raised hundreds of millions of dollars through a bond issue to build new facilities at colleges. So we have taken a step on a bipartisan basis to do that, and that had not been done for a long time. The colleges and universities are very happy about it, and so should the people.
Education on a lower level. Governor talked in the State of the State about a longer school day, you say?
You know, that was brand new that day.
I heard you say you didn't even know that was coming.
No, I mean, the governor doesn't call me and tell me every idea he has. The question is this. The governor said that in order to compete in the world, the framework of education and the length of the day and the length of the school year, he believes is not really a competitive model. It's been around a long time, and we need to expand either the school day or the amount of time children are in school, and that's something the legislature is going to look at. Some people think it should be full-time kindergarten. Some people think it should be a longer day. Some people a longer school year. That's up for discussion.
School year you're open to as well?
You know, I'd have to see the facts and whether that's a successful model. If it's a successful model and it makes children more competitive globally, I would look at it.
Taxes. I talked to your two counterparts, the Assembly Speaker, your colleague Vincent Prieto, the Assembly Speaker, and also Steve Sweeney, the President of the Senate. They're saying, hey, listen, millionaires tax. Why don't we put back on the table in order to get some money, you know, where it belongs to those who need it, and school districts spend more. Why are you smiling?
Because
They
I was
say we
with
should
somebody, I
tax
was
those
with
who are
somebody
millionaires.
this morning
Go ahead.
who has a very successful business. And he's saying the same thing that other very successful people have said. There is no state income tax in Florida. He's talking about living down there 181 days.
Leaving New Jersey?
Absolutely. I hear this constantly from very wealthy people. We have a state
Excuse me,
income tax.
if he goes to Florida 181 days, what happens?
Then he no longer is a citizen in New Jersey. He doesn't pay our 10 or 11% state income tax. That's a lot of money.
We lose that revenue?
You lose his income tax of 10 or 11% on somebody who may make millions. My concern is we clearly have to be very careful. We must be competitive like any other business. We're going to raise taxes in a state that's one of the heaviest tax states in the country. I understand there's a legitimate policy argument between Democrats and Republicans here. I am firmly in the camp that we cannot raise taxes on anyone. We've done too much of that, and but Tom Kean Sr. used to say, I will raise a tax as long as I'm competitive with my contiguous neighbors. And we're starting to out-tax everybody, Pennsylvania, and in some circumstances, New York.
Are you open to the idea, Assemblyman? Are you supportive of the idea of potentially cutting taxes?
Yes. I'm not only supportive of it, I think we should do it, and we should do it right away.
Assembly Speaker Prieto said, absolutely no way, love to do it, can't afford it. He said he's a numbers guy, 2 and 2, last time he checked, we know what it equals. He says, no way, you say?
In a $33 billion budget, you should be able to find a couple $100 million, and the governor said he would, to send a message out there that New Jersey's going in the opposite direction. The message is as important as the amount of the reduction in taxes. You have to send a message, hey, wait, we're going in the other direction. Businesses, people thinking about coming here, people thinking about leaving here. Which came first, the chicken or the egg theory? Is that a motivation to people with respect to moving here or not leaving?
Do you think actually, as we talk to business leaders, labor leaders and others, the whole idea of creating jobs, how much of that is the purview of the state legislature? How much impact do you really have on the policies that you're involved in that actually produces more jobs? Or if it happens, do you say, hey, that was us, when in fact there are market forces?
it's a combination of all of those things. But I think creating the atmosphere where private business wants to be here or wants to stay here or wants to come here is the essence of job creation.
What are some of the two things that you would do that would in fact create that so-called environment or climate?
I would reduce regulation, so if someone wanted to open a business or create a new business, that we'd make it easy for them. That's number one. Because that's more important sometimes than even the tax situation. They do not want hassles. You know, you go to some other state and it's an easier regulatory
They don't want
environment.
hassles, but respectfully, John, at the same time, when you also say we have those so-called hassles or regulations to protect us against what some businesses would do if left to their own devices. You got to protect the people.
I agree. It's all a matter of degree, and we've overdone it. And that's why people go to other states. So what we have to do is, and the lieutenant governor's looked at this. We've had a red tape panel. We're starting to make some progress. I think Democrats agree as well, wholeheartedly, to try to reduce regulation. And then, once you get through the regulatory environment, make sure we're competitive with respect to taxes, corporate business tax, income taxes, and property taxes.
Talk about property taxes. Senate President Steve Sweeney talked specifically, when I asked him, I said, look, let's be candid about this. And you know municipal government better than most. When you have 611, I believe, school districts, and you have 567 municipalities, Princeton being the only community where the borough and the township, I believe.
Yeah, just happened.
Right, just happened. There were two, now they're one. That much of the reason why our property taxes are as high as they are is a product of so many small communities having their own police department, fire department, school district, et cetera. I asked him about this, the idea of mandating, forcing communities, very small communities, to come together, share services, and in fact, no longer be two towns, because we just can't afford it anymore. You open to it?
Well, mandating.
Yes.
I think each situation is a separate discussion, because when you start putting towns together, it may be more efficient. You would think most of the time it is, but there are bills pending. The governor supports it. Most legislators support it. But more importantly, the biggest threat or the biggest obstacle to merging municipalities is civil service. So we've tried to do civil service reform.
What does that mean?
Civil service is when you have two towns merging together, the civil service rules are so strict that you have to make sure with respect to bumping rights and with respect to...
Bumping rights. Somebody gets fired, they have a right to bump down, take the lower job, and they keep bumping down. And what does that really mean?
Well, what it means is there's not a free hand in merging municipalities, because there are so many rules within civil service that it makes it difficult to put two towns together.
So it's not like two companies merging.
Exactly, like we get rid of this division or we lay off these people. It's complicated with civil service. So we want civil service reform. That's going to help municipalities merge. Property taxes also have been affected, and I think in a positive way, by doing arbitration reform and with respect to property tax caps.
Describe what that means.
Well,
the union is negotiating, the police and fire department, they're negotiating with the town. What's arbitration reform, and how does that impact property taxes?
When a union in management or a union in a town can't agree on a raise, that it would go to arbitration. What was happening, the numbers were 5%, 6%, 7%. They were much
annual
higher,
increases,
much higher than the inflation rate, and it created an incredible burden on municipalities. We did a 2% cap on arbitration decisions.
Couldn't be more than 2%.
And we put a 2% cap on property tax expenditures.
Couldn't go up higher than 2% unless you got some sort of exception or
Exactly.
exemption.
So all of that, under Governor Christie's watch, has, front page of the Star Ledger, has had the lowest increase in property taxes in 2 decades. So we made some progress there, but obviously merging of municipalities, consolidation is really important. So you're right on it.
Before I let you out of here, a couple minutes. We are down here again on the 21st of January doing this conversation. The issues we discuss will be evergreen. What I mean by that is they're going to be around for a while.
But, I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Not going to solve them
They've been
anytime
here for a
soon,
long
right?
time.
As we do this program, so much interest on the state of New Jersey and what's going on here. How confident are you that with everything going on, seriously, that the issues we've talked about, that the challenges and the obstacles we've talked about will take precedent and priority because they impact so many people, and that we will not be consumed by everything else going on around us?
We don't have any choice.
Do we not have a choice?
We have to concentrate on these issues, because if you don't, and other states do, you will lose the vibrant economy that has always New Jersey's been blessed with, and you're going to see that those jobs and those businesses leave. So we don't have much choice. We have to make sure we stay focused on jobs, employment, and the economy.
2 seconds. Things you love about the biggest thing you love about this job is?
You can help people. When someone calls my office, there's no greater pleasure, whether it be a senior citizen or a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout who wants to meet and learn about government, or a problem even in the private sector. You can help people. That is it. There's nothing that comes in the close second.
One thing you change, make it even better.
I would
Real
make
quick.
sure. I would make sure that we all treated each other civilly, as opposed to what's developing in our country and sometimes in New Jersey.
Wouldn't that be nice? Jon
I would
Bramnick,
love that.
the leader of the Republican Party in the State Assembly. I want to thank you for joining us
Thank
here
you,
in
Steve.
the upper house.
The other house.
I knew. See, you got to go for the one-liner.
The other house.
Jon Bramnick here in the State Senate from the other house. Steve Adubato here in the State House, a house that matters an awful lot. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of One on One has been provided by Barnabas Health, NJM, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons PC, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, New Jersey's Credit Unions, PSE&G, TD Bank, Community Education Centers, the New Jersey Hospital Association, and by these public-spirited organizations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the issues that matter. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger, powering NJ.com, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business. One on One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.